go for auto sequence start.
And we have a go for auto sequence start. Atlantis onboard computers have primary control of all the vehicle's critical functions. T-minus 20. 15. 12.
10.
T-minus 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. We have 3 main engines up and running. 2. 1. And liftoff of the Space Shuttle Atlantis on a mission that will herald a new day of international cooperation in space.
Houston now controlling.
Houston, Anatoli, Atlantis is in the roll.
Roger, roll, Atlantis. Atlantis is completing a roll maneuver as the vehicle turns into a heads-down position. The vehicle's altitude is approaching 70,000 feet downrange from the launch site, 10 nautical miles. Atlantis is already traveling 2,000 miles per hour as the vehicle passes through 1.5 minutes into the flight. The next event is burnout and separation of the twin solid rocket boosters at about the 2-minute 4-second mark of the flight. SRB separation is confirmed aboard the orbiter. Atlantis is downrange from the launch site 32 nautical miles. Altitude is 170,000 feet. Traveling 4,400 feet per second, or about 3,000 miles per hour.
Houston, performance nominal.
Mechanical Systems Officer here in the Mission Control Center reports that docking ring is being driven properly, is moving forward to its extended position. It is at that extended position that the orbiter will come into contact with the docking mechanism on the Crystal Science module on the Mir, and thus initiate the capture of the two vehicles with a series of capture latches that are located in those 3 triangular pedals at the top of the docking ring. You can clearly see the docking ring now extending upwards from the docking system itself. At the point of contact between the two vehicles, the capture latches on the top of that extended ring will hook onto comparable latches on the Crystal module docking mechanism. Then the capture ring will be retracted to bring the two docking interfaces flush against one another. At that point, the structural mating of hooks and latches on both sides of the docking interfaces between Atlantis and the Mir will begin. The entire process from contact through capture and then the hard mating of the two vehicles against each other should take about 20 to 25 minutes. This is a Russian-built docking mechanism which was built by RSC Energia, the main hardware manufacturer for Russian spacecraft hardware. It was then integrated into the orbiter through Rockwell International in Downey, California. On the right side of the screen, as the orbiter passes in darkness, is a very faint view of the centerline camera, which is located at the top of the inside a porthole at the top of the orbiter docking system, which will be used as a navigational aid by Commander Hoot Gibson and pilot Charlie Precourt during the final phase of the rendezvous and approach to the Mir space station tomorrow. In the crosshairs on that shot on the right side of the split screen would be the Crystal Science module's docking target. The two views will enable Gibson and Precourt to perfectly align the orbiter docking system mechanism with the Crystal Science module docking mechanism for a precise point of contact and capture. Energia designed and built this Russian docking mechanism. It was integrated into the orbiter docking system and then into the orbiter itself by NASA and Rockwell International. And the initial test of that docking system and the extension of the docking ring went off without a hitch earlier this morning, as mission specialist Greg Harbaugh, who's chiefly in charge of the docking system, used two motors through a control panel at the aft flight deck of Atlantis' flight deck to drive that docking mechanism upward to its fully extended position of 13 inches above the top of the docking system. This will enable Commander Hoot Gibson to use this image aboard Atlantis on the aft flight deck on a special TV camera he has set up back there in order to perfectly align the docking ring on the orbiter docking system with that of the Crystal module. The three...
Well, it's a good image, Greg, and we have a good mux now, we see. It's going to be spectacular looking at a Mir space station through there.
Yes, sir, it certainly will be.
And there is the first live picture of the Mir space station as seen through the centerline camera in the orbiter docking system.
AOS Tidris West.
Dave, we're just finishing configuring KU to COM. Matter of fact, I think we're done. You should be able to take it.
We have it, Charlie, and that is just spectacular. We see the station clearly through the pedals of the docking ring.
At the top of the Mir space station is the Soyuz capsule used by...
Both side hops are TCS to nav now.
Copy.
At the top of the space station is the Soyuz capsule.
We have a beautiful picture. We see you zooming in now.
Вы хотите получить наш формат дисплея, да?
Анну 86 включите, отображение. Ой, дисплей ТВ.
The Soyuz capsule is at the top of the picture used by Dezhurov, Strekalov, and Thagard to ride to the Mir space station. Continuing down the long axis of the Mir is the Kvant 1 module, the core module. In the center of the Mir configuration is the Crystal module's docking port, which is the target for Atlantis' docking system for its link up an hour and 37 minutes from now.
Atlantis, that was really a pretty rendezvous up to this point. Excellent work.
This split-screen view now on the left side showing the extended docking ring above the orbiter docking system, and the right-hand view again showing the centerline camera view from the orbiter docking system as it looks at the blinking lights along the Crystal module's docking port. The triangular-looking objects on the top of the docking ring on the left-hand image are the pedals, each of which contain two capture latches. Those capture latches will engage comparable capture latches inside the Crystal module's docking mechanism to begin to engage the vehicles initially after contact is made between those two pieces of hardware. This is Mission Control Houston as the Shuttle Atlantis and the Mir space station pass across the southern tip of South America. Our first views of the shuttle as taken from the Mir and relayed to the United States.
Houston, we have video from the Mir spacecraft looking at you.
Great, Dave, we copy. Of course, we've got it on our cameras here. We've got the center line up, and that's right, you're not going to have TV for a while, are you?
That's right, we won't have it for a while.
That.
Atlantis very stable as it remains in its station-keeping attitude 270 feet below the Mir space station.
Atlantis, Charlie, your go to bring up TCS-1.
Okay, thanks, Dave. We'll bring it up in just a second. Сейчас еще что-нибудь придумал. Минуту. Нет, Все выключено. Нет, неоткуда взять. Только лишь один включенный. Даже свет тут.
Atlantis is currently passing over Tierra del Fuego and the southern tip of South America.
Наблюдаем вашу картинку в супе, Хьюстоне.
А когда мы будем отключать? 15-23?
As Atlantis sits 270 feet below the Mir, Commander Hoot Gibson and pilot Charlie Precourt are 6.5 minutes away from initiating their final approach to the space station for docking. Atlantis now 35 feet away from the Mir space station, penetrating the mark.
No response required. We're tracking off the tail the rest of the pass. West satellite in 14 minutes.
Atlantis now closer to the Mir space station than was the shuttle Discovery back on February 6th when it rendezvoused to within 37 feet of the Mir.
Режим S02, ячейка 2.0.
Down, сейчас 50 футов.
50 футов приняли.
Once the final approach is initiated 5 minutes from now, the shuttle will have available to it all of its jets, transitioning its digital autopilot from the low Z mode to the norm Z mode, as it is called. And again, at the point of contact between the two vehicles, the Mir will be commanded into what is called free drift, disabling for the moment its attitude control system to enable the orbiter docking system's docking ring to initiate the fine-tuning of the alignment between the two docking mechanisms prior to the initiation of the capture between the two vehicles.
Atlantis, we're stopped at about the 30-foot station keeping point, and we're seeing essentially a 0.3 of a degree flyout in a couple of the axes, but that's about it.
Transmitting in the blind. Good news. Mir dynamic controls disabled and gyros are desaturated.
Atlantis 16 feet from the Mir, time to docking 2 minutes 45 seconds.
Скорость получения минус 0,1.
Скорость.
14 футов.
Да. Хорошо.
13 футов.
Приняли 13 футов.
12 футов.
12 футов.
11 футов.
This picture now from the Mir space station showing the approach of the two docking mechanisms toward each other.
Минус 0,1.
Atlantis 10 feet from the Mir, time to docking 1 minute 50 seconds.
Володь, прямая связь на президента.
9 футов.
Слушай.
Как то?
8 футов.
Длится.
Володь,
Atlantis 8 feet away. Hoot Gibson edging Atlantis at a rate of less than 1/10 of a foot per second.
7 футов.
7 футов.
футов. Минус 0, 1. Принято.
A space shuttle and a space station now 6 feet from each other. Time to docking 1 minute.
5 футов.
Четыре футов.
4 фута.
Flight controllers here standing by for contact and capture of the two vehicles against one another.
3 футов.
Ставим касание. 3 фута.
2 футов.
2 фута.
Один фут.
1 фут.
Есть касание. Есть индикаторный. Houston, Atlantis, we have capture.
Copy, capture.
Станция перешла в индикаторный режим.
Приняла.
Хорошо.
Atlantis, we confirm Mir in free drift.
Сейчас, да, Ген, подожди.
Перерыв связи.
Ты книжки.
With the capture initiated between Atlantis and Mir, 20 years after Apollo-Soyuz, a U.S. spacecraft and a Russian spacecraft are once again joined in orbit.
Так, телевидение, наверное, можно выключить. Да, тень ходит.
Володя, захват подтвержден.
Да, Боря, приняли. Захват тоже подтверждаем. Принято на центральном посту.
Commander Vladimir Dezhurov aboard the Mir also confirms capture. Mechanical systems officer here reports that the two docking mechanisms are now aligned. The docking ring on Atlantis should be retracted shortly. Once fully retracted, the structural mating of the hooks and latches on both sides of the docking interfaces will be underway.
Там ничего не надо. Раз индикаторный ввелся, то не надо. Вот. Все принято. Ну, вопрос. Телевидения хватит. Houston, Atlantis, I'm showing the ring aligned for 30 seconds and no rates. Everything looks nice and stable. So I'm ready to proceed in.
Copy, Greg, and concur.
Mission specialist Greg Harbaugh aboard Atlantis will now begin the 3 to 5 minute process of retracting the docking ring, which slid into the docking mechanism of the Crystal module just 2.5 minutes ago to complete the first docking between a space shuttle and a space station in the Phase 1 program.
Ген,
The docking ring is now slowly retracting. That will bring the two docking interfaces flush against one another. And once that occurs, the relative motion between the two vehicles will be dampened out by shock absorbers in the orbiter docking system, enabling the structural mating of the hooks and latches on either side of that docking interface between the Crystal and Atlantis to begin. That will be about a 3 to 5 minute process. Once the hooks and latches are all hooked up together, then the capture ring will be extended slightly once again to enable the capture latches to be reopened, and the ring will be retracted one more time for final hard mating between the two vehicles.
Бортовую документацию. положение?
Слушаю.
Может, кто-нибудь у иллюминатора появится, там видна только рука, хорошо бы лицо увидать.
Хорошо. Я видела вас тоже через иллюминатор с камерой.
Ваня, скажи сейчас, чтобы кто сейчас иллюминатор. Сейчас, please, now, right now, your face, он Чарли подошел. А, Чарли, hi, Чарли. Вот Чарли машет рукой.
Да, я говорю.
А он и худ там, худ. Мы наблюдаем хорошо.
This television view from the Mir space station showing Mir 19 cosmonauts Anatoli Solovyov and Nikolai Budarin waving out the windows.
Here we see you guys smiling in the window.
Solovyov and Budarin just a few hours away from moving into the Mir space station to take over control of the Mir from their colleagues, Commander Vladimir Dezhurov, Flight Engineer Gennadi Strekalov, and cosmonaut researcher Norm Thagard, the first U.S. astronaut to fly on the Mir.
Дисплей, наверное, можно выключить, и свет тоже, да? Хорошо.
Mechanical Systems Officer now reporting that the ring retraction is complete. The two docking interfaces are flush against one another, and the process of the structural mating of the hooks and latches on both sides of the docking interface is about to get underway. This picture from payload bay camera on the Shuttle Atlantis showing the docked configuration.
Great. We see the hooks driving nominal.
Понятно.
The hooks are being driven over comparable latches on the Crystal module's docking mechanism that will form the structural hard mate between the two vehicles. This picture now from the Mir space station, and this picture from the Shuttle Atlantis.
Телевидение выключать, Михалыч, уже сейчас в темноте. Пока не удаем. Готов? Хорошо, принято.
We've got spectacular live TV.
Тогда я. Михалыч, телевидение выключать, это уже темнота. Так, телевидение... Yeah, you gotta see it from here.
We'd all like to. We're free drifting the right direction to help us with our beta mask. We're extending the TV coverage a bit.
Минуту, Володь. Так, выключаем. Анна 73.
Cameras which will have recorded the hatch opening and handshake will be taken down briefly while the cameras are then repositioned in the core module for a welcoming ceremony.
Atlantis, Houston, advisory only. We have about 6 more minutes of KU bandwidth. If you'd like to give us some KCA, it's your call. We're enjoying the television also.
Okay, Dave. We'll see what we can wrestle up. We're kind of busy trying to get everything reconfigured, but let's see what we can do.
Atlantis, we see you've shown an outside view of the Mir. Sergei has asked for a manipulation of the camera to look at the folded solar array on the Spectre. Your go to open the shuttle hatch.
Okay, here goes.
Наша лучше?
Лучше, да.
Есть у них крытие.
A lot easier without gravity.
уже все подшить? Да. Подшить, да? Да. Теперь смотри. Ага. Эту руку вторую. Да. Где-то на трансформатор подшить, да, как обычно. Да. А вот этой вот диафрагму. Вот этой рукой, вот диафрагму здесь. А, да. Вот. Вот здесь. Чувствуешь? Да. Опусти ее, ты увидишь, опусти. Ага. Да. Все нормально? Да, да, да. Welcome to the Space Shuttle. How are you? Добро пожаловать. Пожалуйста, проходите. Телевидение не работает, все снимают. Да? Да. Да. Еще раз. Посмотри это. Володя, нет. Что? Да, посмотри. Вот здесь стрелка. Молодцы, это все. Ну, значит, нормально там. Да, это все. Да. Ну, ты слушай, Михаил, это получилось. А еще что сказали? Еще раз повторите. Еще раз. Реентry сказали. Еще раз повторите. Нормально. Так, ну что, мы пошли в базовый блок тогда, да?
То есть вы снимаете там, как все они туда проходят?
Да. Хорошо. Вот. Да, я понял. Что? Ты продолжаешь снимать здесь, а мы проходим туда дальше. И здесь потом самый последний уходит, и камеру выключают.
Володь, давай.
Ответьте. Нет, ты стой на месте, а мы рядом с тобой пройдем. Prohadi, he wants you to follow him. Come on, come on. Мы в базовом блоке все сделаем. He wants to do everything in the base block. Okay, yeah, well, we were going to bring our cameras and all that stuff into the base block. Okay. Well, as it isn't already... Nice job, dude. Thank you very much.
Камеру пусть оставит, господи.
Commander Hoot Gibson first inside the Mir space station, followed by mission specialist Greg Harbaugh. Mission specialist Ellen Baker playing camera woman, trying to capture the moment for archival and historic purposes.
Houston, Atlantis, we're all headed towards the base block.
Copy, Charlie.
Really, Igor.
Baker followed by pilot Charlie Precourt on his 40th birthday.
They want to go to the main part of the station. So just follow it. And Golden wants to see a picture. And then we'll come back and we'll do more photos here. Okay, Houston, the plan is we're all going to the base block following our commanders, and we'll come back and get some more shots here at the vestibule right after we head in there.
Copy and concur.
You're doing fine. All you have to do is go straight ahead.
Behind Precourt mission specialist Bonnie Dunbar, about to be reunited with Dr. Norm Thagard, who she trained with for a year in Star City. As the astronauts and cosmonauts work their way into the Mir core module, this TV now from the Mir perspective, and this television from the shuttle perspective. This is Mission Control Houston. The astronauts and cosmonauts have now filed into the Mir core module, where most of the work takes place aboard the space station on a day-to-day basis. It's also the command and control center for most of the Mir's vehicle operations and attitude control movements. On the left is Mir 19 Commander Anatoli Solovyov, Flight Engineer Gennadi Strekalov of the Mir 18 crew in the blue suit. In between them is Mir 19 Flight Engineer Nikolai Budarin in the mustache in the background. This is old home for Anatoly Solovyov. This is his fourth flight to the Mir space station. Prior to the launch of Atlantis on Tuesday, Solovyov had logged 378 days in orbit. Atlantis Commander Hoot Gibson on the right. An embrace by Gennadi Strekalov for Bonnie Dunbar. The two trained together in Star City for a year for the Mir 18 launch.
Okay, we copy.
Well, let's go into the cockpit. This is the flight deck of, this is just like a flight deck of an airplane. This is the commander's seat. Please have a seat. Note that the view is just the same as out of an airplane. We have screens here for displaying data from computers. That's the seat for the pilot. The commander is the pilot, and the pilot actually is the co-pilot. And right now there is an excellent view of the station through these windows. Maybe we can show this view through the window. This is one of the modules of the Mir station. It's the Kristall module. And the Kristall contains the docking mechanisms. Let's now proceed to the space lab. It is found in the payload bay, and the access to this laboratory is through a tunnel, which is approximately 8 meters or 25 feet. And it's rather dark in the tunnel. But the space lab is very bright. There's a lot of light here. Of course, the primary reason for the laboratory is to perform all sorts of different scientific experiments.
And once the formal go is given for that crew transfer, the Mir 18 crew's home vehicle will be the Shuttle Atlantis, while the Mir 19 crew will leave Atlantis and have as their home vehicle the station.
If you're looking at the Spectre camera, he's coming out.
Copy, Hoot. We see Soyuz on dock.
Okay, and we've got the let's see, which view do we have up on monitor 2? The C camera is seeing him start to come out from behind Spectre.
Copy, we'll switch.
Dave B has it also. You can see just a little bit of the array starting to stick out.
Copy. We'll get the good view when he turns out of plane.
Okay, and Dave, we're set to resume stack control when we hear that he's at 30 meters, and we're not able to understand what he's saying as long as Moscow is talking, so maybe you can tell us when we can go back to attitude control.
Copy. We will give you a call.
Okay, and that will be for Block 5 Bravo.
Affirmative.
And Dave, we show that we are going to initiate block 4 Bravo at 5 minutes to go on the PET clock.
Concur, on time.
Houston, we have separation.
Concur, separation.
Это корабль немножко довернулся. Вот пошла. Вот момент пошел отхода. А эта станция сейчас будет доворот делать. Вот пытался их поймать вместе, но вместе не получается. Уже расстояние большое. И камеру до шаттла уже не довернешь, потому что места нет. Он уже с центрального поля, вот пытаясь двигать.
Are you getting our TV, Dave?
Yep, we got it. Atlantis Charlie, when you deactivate TCS, please skip step 2. We'll be in cold attitudes and we're going to reactivate tomorrow. Or Greg.
Dave, stand by just a second. We'll get you to repeat that. The IMAX is running on flight deck.
Roger, disregard. Atlantis, IMAX says run the whole magazine.
Okay, Dave, say again about TCS.
Charlie, skip step 2 in deactivation. We're going to bring them back up tomorrow and we'll be in a cold attitude.
Okay, I've already gone and, yeah, I haven't powered off the switches. Is that what you're talking about?
Atlantis, Houston, the reason we're delaying target track is we need to take a few more marks with the radar before we initiate target track, and we want to delay that until 4 or 5 more minutes till we come out over the ocean.
Okay, Dave, copy that.
And you'll have to do block 14 alpha when we give you the call. That's radar acquisition.
Roger that. And cameras B and C look really good right now to us, if you want to take a look at that.
Atlantis, Houston, we've enjoyed the TV, but we have a few steps for you to get back into the radar mode and configure for the COAS DTO.
Okay, we'll do that. And Dave, you probably see in the flight deck camera the commander of Mir 18 looking out the window, saying goodbye to his spacecraft.
I know he'll look forward to going back. And Hoot, we'd like to use the relay mode to talk to the Mir. Sergey will be calling from MCC Houston. We'd like to read you some steps to get back into your timeline.
Okay, Dave, we're ready to copy.
Dennis, we're ready. Here comes MU3.
MU3, copy.
Space Lab is trying to talk to the POC, and there's a lot of talk on air-to-ground 2. What do you think about us sharing air-to-ground 1 with the POC? You should have the picture.
We have it? We have Soyuz. Outstanding, Atlantis. You've caught it all.
Well, I guess the sun was kind of a major factor in the whole thing, and then I guess the fact that Anatoli had to dock early, the sun the wrong place for us, and so we kind of had to hustle.
Exactly right. You did wonderful.
This will be the 111th sunset for Atlantis of the past 8 days, with sunset occurring once every 1.5 hours, once with each orbit of Earth. This view showing the horizon as again Atlantis approaches sunset. Atlantis' course somewhat traversing north-south along the line that delineates night from day on the Earth below, as it is on a very northerly orbit, very highly inclined to the equator at 51.6 degrees. Now in view from Atlantis is the northern coast of New Guinea, as Atlantis departs the vicinity, moving northward into the open Pacific.
Commander Hoot Gibson has now taken over manual control, flying the orbiter around the heading alignment circle to align Atlantis with runway 15, the northwest to southeast approach. Time to touchdown, 3.5 minutes. All of Atlantis' systems continue to work in excellent fashion, and the weather continues to be more than acceptable for landing, with clear skies, good visibility, a few clouds around the shuttle landing facility, but nothing that would impede the landing. The switch in runways from the southerly approach to the northerly approach from the northwest to the southeast was done about 15 minutes ago while Atlantis was crossing the Pacific Ocean to enhance the visibility for Commander Hoot Gibson and pilot Charlie Precourt. Gibson has now initiated a banking left-hand turn over runway 15. Atlantis under 30,000 feet to the runway.
Atlantis Houston on energy at the 180.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Again, this infrared long-range tracking camera at the Kennedy Space Center, clearly showing the Shuttle Atlantis at the correct angle of attack. Time to touchdown, 2 minutes.
Atlantis Houston on energy at the 90.
Commander Hoot Gibson.
Okay, copy, on at the 90.
Commander Hoot Gibson, 3/4 of the way through his banking left-hand turn. He will be aligned with runway 33 in just a few seconds. Orbiter navigation now being guided by the microwave landing system at the Kennedy Space Center.
Atlantis Houston, copy, runway inside.
Now just a minute and a half from touchdown. Atlantis at 11,000 feet.
Kurt, we just got a master alarm with no message. We're pressing on.
We understand.
Atlantis coming down the pike, on target for a landing less than a minute from now. Descending at a very steep angle, Gibson will shortly pull up the nose in a pre-flare maneuver. Gibson now flaring up the nose, landing gear deployed by pilot Charlie Precourt. Atlantis just a few hundred feet off the deck. Main gear touchdown. The drag chute being deployed by pilot Charlie Precourt, and nose gear touchdown. Atlantis rolling out on runway 15 at the Kennedy Space Center to complete a 4.1 million mile mission and the first docking with the Russian space station Mir.
Houston, Atlantis, Kurt, we've got wheel stop.
Atlantis, Houston, we copy wheel stop and welcome home, Atlantis. Welcome home, Mir 18. Congratulations on your perfect end to your historic mission. A new era in human spaceflight has begun.
Thank you, Kurt. We couldn't have said it better. We're proud to have been part of it.